Hello, hello, lovely people, happily committed community. Coach Adrian here. I wanted to come live again today, mainly to answer questions that you may have and give you a little bit of boost, a little bit of confidence as you continue to walk this path of breakup recovery or in trying to really create the love life that you want with your significant other. And I wanted to really first, before I answer some of your questions, talk about the fact that relationships are not linear. You're going to go through ups and downs, and I see this with a lot of my clients. And usually, what I see is people feeling very, very, very high when they're getting the attention and the validation that they want from their significant other, and also feeling very low when they're going through tests and challenges. And oftentimes, it can be very difficult to navigate those ups and downs. And I'm here to remind you that it is not a linear process. And just because you're facing certain challenges in your relationship doesn't mean that all hope is lost or that you should throw in the towel. And on the contrary, it's really through those hard times that you can prove your commitment and your love to your significant other. It's easy when things are good, right? Um, but relationships are not always meant to be easy. We are here, and if you're part of this community, it's because you know that your partner is here to continue to help you grow and to help you to continue to be a better version of yourself. And that commitment is key to that process, because if you are unable to commit to working through things, it can be extremely, extremely difficult. So we have a friend from Guyana, Priya. Thank you for being with us. And EQ, always here looking for success stories. Sounds good, EQ. I will share a success story with you. I was hoping to use this space also to answer some of your questions. If you have any pressing questions, this will not be um, as long of a live as I usually like to do, because I have another obligation, a coaching session coming up. Dora from Saudi Arabia, thank you for being tuned in. And Alisa, hello to you as well. So let's listen to EQ and start off with a success story. The success story that I want to share is one of a woman that I worked with. She was very, very successful in New York, very, very successful. And the person that she was with had commitment issues, right? She was looking to take that next step. She wanted him to commit. She wanted marriage, and um, and really, for a multitude of reasons, he was not able to get to that next step. Part of the reason was that she was actually so successful that perhaps he felt threatened by her success and did not want to be seen as this guy who was riding her coattails. Um, there were also, issues linked to childhood that made it difficult for him to commit to her. So we worked together, and she was really wonderful. And she bought in, despite the fact that she was very successful at what she does, like a rock star. She was able to humble herself and to really listen to the advice and to follow the plan that we crafted together. And and they got back together. I mean, they were basically together, but he was able to recommit to her and to also propose. And now they're flying. And it all started based on her ability to not compromise who she is and her values out of fear of losing this person that she loves. And so, I would like for you guys to remember that, even if you're not in the type of relationship that you want to be in, don't compromise your values and who you are out of fear of losing the person that you love. Because if you compromise your values, you're going to be in the type of relationship where you're not fulfilled anyway. You're going to lose self-confidence and self-esteem, And ultimately, this person will probably walk away because you're not going to be the person um, that he or she fell for, right? So please stay true to who you are. Do not compromise your values out of fear of losing a man. Pretty Jana is here from Libya. Welcome. So nice to know that you're connected from Libya. I think it's the first time during a live that I have a friend here from Libya. So thank you for commenting. And Botswana as well, Shuvai. Thank you. What an international community we have. So Queen Bee says, how do I stop the fear of losing him? It's a very good question. We were just talking about this, right? So ultimately, it comes back to understanding first and foremost. You need to understand that where the fear of losing him comes from, it's rooted in the ego. And the more you're able to take action, the more you're able to really live a life that is coherent with what you aspire for, the more it's going to be easy to overcome this fear of losing him. Of course, you need to have also a solid, um, a solid support system. If you have, usually when you're in this fear of losing him, it's because you started to neglect different aspects of your life, and your life is revolves around your relationship and your partner. Perhaps you're not close to your friends anymore, or you don't check in on your family members as well, or your career is no longer at the forefront of your focus. The relationship has sucked all of your energy, and it's detaching from that will enable you to overcome this fear of losing him. And it starts with small steps, right? Small steps, new habits, setting goals, holding yourself accountable every day, and going through that process of being able to stand on your own 2 feet. And this is something that many people that we work with are able to do. So even if it's overwhelming at first, or you feel like you're starting from a very vulnerable place, you can walk that path as long as you stay committed, and as long as you have that support, and as long as you're able to kind of check yourself and bring yourself to account. And if you have a setback or a tough day, it's okay. Try to do better the next day and continue to kind of walk that path. Ethan says, how can we reconnect without looking desperate when going to see a long distance ex, like across the planet long distance? Thank you, Ethan. Ethan, that's a beautiful question. I actually just finished a very comprehensive course on making long distance work. It's going to launch, I'm hoping, in just a matter of weeks. So I will really, really give you an in-depth answer to that question. So please keep an eye out for that. Okay. Ultimately, desperation comes from, your question is linked to the mindset. If you are in this vulnerable place, fear of losing your significant other, thinking that you need them to be happy at all cost, no matter what you do, you're going to come off as desperate. If you've worked on the personal transformation element, if you're back on your own 2 feet, you're that confident version of yourself that they fell in love with at the beginning of the relationship, a more mature version of that through experience. No matter what you do, it's not going to look desperate, because you won't be approaching this outreach or this connection from a place of desperation. So the means of how you reconnect can vary, and based on your reality and what is possible, whether it's a simple text message on social media, a letter, or you going where they are. Ultimately, that needs to be adapted based on what is possible in your reality. But first, you need to make sure that you're in the right place to seek to reconnect. And based on your question, I think that there's still probably work to be done, because once you get to that place, the fear of coming off as desperate is no longer an issue. It's no longer an issue. So Metal Chick LOL says, how to improve a relationship when you're being taken for granted. So it's a very good question. First and foremost, it's important to remember that not all relationships are meant to be salvaged. Okay. And being taken for granted, there's a spectrum as to what that looks like. Now, if your needs are not being met and, it's not a bad relationship, you're not with someone who's actually taking advantage of you, then yes, it's worth fighting for. And usually it just takes you taking a few steps back, being more independent, not seeking, not turning to your partner for your happiness and your validation and your well being. Just that shift can help reset, right? So you need to be able, metal chick, to have fun without your significant other. You need, again, to be able to set goals without that does not depend on their approval or validation. You need to have a social life and perhaps, just take a little bit of a step back. And that should, in time, help shift the dynamic in your favor. Emily, welcome. Emily Mercy, thank you for being live with us. Diana from Switzerland. um, you also want to know about, being taken for granted in marriage. So the reality of it is that love relationships have different seasons. And when you've been together with someone for a long time, it's natural to get complacent and to continue to, to coast because you get very comfortable and because you both start to feel like no matter what, this person is going to be there. And don't try to force them to change. Don't try to control them or to force romance. That may push them away. Instead, challenge yourself to, look your best, to live your best life, and to have fun. And by doing so, you're going to force them to also kind of rise to the challenge in order to not lose you. And ultimately, focusing on what you can control is always the best way to go. When you start to complain to your significant other or to try to be passive aggressive or to give them ultimatums, that's not going to motivate them. Focus on you. Brandon, would being friends with an ex increase the chances of getting back with them after some time has passed? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, yes. People are afraid to fall into the friend zone after a breakup. But my experience is that it's very difficult actually to be friends with someone that you are in a relationship with. In some cases, it's possible when both people have reached a certain level of maturity and if you were together for a long time. But the odds are that you're either going to fight like cats and dogs and you're not going to be in each other's lives, or there's the fact that there's still attraction there, something is going to happen. So being friendly, being on good terms with your significant other or your ex in this situation is not a bad thing because we need a platform whereby we can attract them again. So don't be afraid of the friend zone. So BG says, as you do the work, are there any tips or tricks to remind us not to reach out with a text when we are wanting to, and to not worry that they might be moving on if you still believe they are the one? Very good question. This is linked again to two most common fears that people have after a breakup. Fear that your significant other is going to forget about you, and the fear that they're going to date someone else, right? So ultimately, this is rooted again in the ego. And what I tell people that I work with who are in breakup recovery situations is that the worst has already happened. You've already lost them, and you need to accept that. And the sooner you accept that you've lost them, the easier it is to not be in this fearful mindset of losing them to someone else. Ultimately, it's about staying busy, setting goals for yourself, and making sure that you're putting guardrails in place. Like if you're checking their social media, if you're asking mutual friends what they're doing, if you're spying on them, driving past their house, you're going to probably make a mistake. You have to live a coherent life and approach this in the right way. Okay. Husband of 44 years called me lazy, followed by 3 days of silent treatment. So I left. He's mad. Why would he be mad? Well, he's mad probably because you left. Again, you said. So this is probably not your first rodeo, Beach Pixie, and be careful. It's a very dangerous dynamic to try to resolve issues or to get your point across by breaking up or by leaving. You can actually create a very distorted relationship and completely erode trust because trust and security is essential for any relationship to grow. And if your partner feels like you could leave at any time, um, there's going to be some backlash there. And ultimately, it's important for you to be able to learn to communicate better, right? Guys need to consult, to communicate in order to problem solve. That's the key. I would recommend not walking away. And if your partner is calling you names and being inappropriate, there's ways for you to distance yourself or to convey that a boundary has been crossed without threatening to break up or without walking away. Max Bicycle, if kids are involved, well, if kids are involved, you have more reasons to try to really do everything that you can to make your relationship work. So Beach Pixie says you're already divorced and happy. Great. If you're happy, that's fantastic. If kids are involved, ultimately, it's really important to make sure that you guys are pulling. It gives you actually something in common to fight for, right? And through the children, you can maintain unity and continue to pull in the same direction. I've found that there's usually more reasons to stay and to fight for your relationship. And ultimately, what you don't want to do is to start to use kids as as pawns in this process and to hurt each other more through them. And ultimately, you can do activities as a family whenever it's appropriate to help create that harmony again and to remind yourselves that you guys can pull in the same direction and really be happy. But we want to avoid drama, conflict, and negativity at all costs in front of the children. And remember that there was a life before the children too. What was that like? How did you guys connect? And invest in rebuilding that type of connection, not just being co-parents. Katrina says, Coach Adrian, thank you for making me realize it's still too soon. It's only been 1 month since the affair. I had a feeling it was still going on. Last week when you told me it's still soon. It is. It's still very, very soon. And kudos to you for having that presence of mind and that detachment. And I'm very happy for you. And I hope that you're gonna continue to approach this in the right way, so that you can rebuild a relationship that's built on trust. Make sure that you force this person to do the work and to earn your trust again, right? Okay. Very good, Katrina. Guys, I think I'm late on my appointment actually because I'm having so much fun engaging with you guys here. So maybe I can take one more question and then we'll go back to next week, same time, same day. We can do more Q&As. I can share more testimonials for you, EQ, and maybe I'll focus on a key theme that has emerged in my coaching sessions to also give you guys some practical advice. Clark says, wrote an accountability letter, and they say they responded and they are sincerely happy for you, but they are not ready to connect at the moment. Is it best to respond to text or sit? I think that it depends on the nature of the outreach, but basically you don't want to give them an opportunity to distance themselves. So we don't want to give them an opportunity to set a boundary or to kind of take a step back, right? This means that they still need more time. The fact that they responded in a positive way is good. Your letter has worked. And it's important for you to walk the walk. You've said some great things in your letter. Now it cannot be just words. Your actions need to really mirror what your words said. And you probably need to give them time and space to realize that they're not happier without you, and also to have some regret. So that is kind of my guidance for you. Katrina, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. So I'm asked how to start trusting again in a new relationship after being cheated on by your husband. So we actually have a program called Infidelity, Overcoming Infidelity, and I really encourage you to check it out. I think it can really help. This is not an easy situation, but it's possible. It takes time and effort, but it is possible. And I think that our infidelity program on Happily Committed can really help you when you've dealt with cheating. But you can be happy in love again, and you can learn to trust again. You just have to give yourself time to heal and to approach it, of course, in the right way. Friends, I have to go because I'm late, but thank you so much for being tuned in. Thank you for your support. So great to see friends from all over the world uh, being connected. Libya, Botswana, big up. Thank you so much. And I'll be here next Tuesday, same time. So take good care, keep fighting the good fight, and much, much love.